crash and burn.
Hey everybody. So tonight I'm going to discuss the 2004 movie National Treasure starring Nicolas Cage. The reason I'm talking about this movie is because this is one of those movies that I watch at least once a month, and I have watched at least once a month. Well, no, back when I first saw it in '04, I was watching this movie pretty much every day. But as of about 5 or 6 years ago, I watched this movie at least once a month. I love this movie. I love this movie mainly because it's an endless game of cat and mouse between all of the principal characters, half of which are Ben, which is played by Nicolas Cage, his sidekick Riley, and Ben's soon-to-be girlfriend Abigail. And what they do is Ben and Riley decide to steal the Declaration of Independence from the museum that it's in order to protect it from Sean Bean's character, Ian, who is looking to steal it because on the back of it is a treasure map that will lead them to the national treasure that Nicolas Cage's family has been obsessing over for generations and has not been able to find. And yeah, that's, like I said, this movie is great because it's an endless game of cat and mouse. I also really liked how it makes American history cool. Like, I know American history itself is cool enough, and Assassin's Creed 3 did a really good job of bringing American history to life. I just wish Ubisoft hadn't rushed that game out. I felt that Connor deserved more respect than that. But nevertheless, that game was rushed. I bought it right when it came out. I went to the midnight release, and the game was glitchy as hell, and I kept getting stuck in graphics. And you had to jump down into this one cave at one point to get this one thing you needed, and every time I jumped down it, I fell through the game. And then by the time all the updates had happened, I'd given up on the game. So, but yeah, that's what I love about this, is it makes American history come alive. And I keep thinking about it in relation to, like, Canadian history, and I keep thinking to myself, like, God, that would be boring. Like, oh, the Hudson's Bay Company was started in such and such a year, and they used to trade fur pelts to the natives along these such and such waterways, and who fucking cares? It's Canadian history. It's boring and it's stupid. American history, on the other hand, is badass. You know, it's fucking Americans going at the British. Well, actually, technically, first it would be the British going against the British. It's like some real Brit on Brit action there, because it would be the British who were sent overseas to the new land, who had to work the land, and then send, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 50% of their take-home had to go back to Mother Britain, and they got sick of that, and so there's the War of Independence in the United States, which is my absolute favorite country in the world, was born as the result of that. And that's what this is all, like, entrenched in. It's all like George Washington this and Ben Franklin that, and I love that about this. I love the fact that the Freemasons come into it. I love how effective a bad guy Sean Bean is as Ian. It's getting dark, so I should probably turn a light on. Yeah, I love how effective of a bad guy Sean Bean is, and I just love how this is a movie made by Disney before Disney just fell to shit and decided to make everything about race and gender, because this is a movie that has a strong male lead, a strong female lead, and they're equal. Unlike all of Disney's modern works, well, at least as of June 2024, where the women are a bunch of perfect Mary Sues and the men are a bunch of useless crybabies hiding in the corner waiting for the women to do everything for them. At this point, Disney was still making quality films. And then, I mean, at the end, when you actually find the treasure, and it's like, how did a bunch of guys, one of the Ian's guys is like, how did a bunch of guys with hand tools build this? And Riley's like, simple. The aliens helped them. And I loved that too. I thought this movie was so much fun. I love, like I said, I love how they're constantly being chased. And I love how, like, Harvey Keitel plays the Fed who's attempting to get the Declaration of Independence back. And I love how at times, like, it looks like, you know, Nicolas Cage is working with the feds, but then at times he has to work with Sean Bean and his cronies in order to keep things rolling in such a way so that he's still able to sort of thwart Sean Bean's attempts to get to the treasure first, because whereas Nick Cage is doing it not just for himself, he's also doing it for the historical precedents, as well as restoring sort of some respect to his family name, because his family is just known as a bunch of quacks that are chasing this invisible treasure and making fools out of themselves. So I thought that was really cool too. And again, I loved how, like, the Liberty Bell comes into it, and there's a pair of, like, Freemason sunglasses, well, sort of sunglasses, hidden in the wall of where the Liberty Bell is kept. And I thought that was really fun, and how you only could see it before, like, a certain time, and then how Riley points out how daylight savings wasn't invented until this time, so they weren't late. And again, it's making history come alive in a really relatable sense. And I really like that because I think it's really fun and it's exciting, you know? And I think, yeah, that's why I watch this movie all the time, is because it's like that endless game of cat and mouse. It's like the only thing I really like about the show Outer Banks, too, because I don't love that show, but I do love how they're constantly being chased and how they're never in the same place twice, because this endless game of cat and mouse just keeps happening on that show. And that is what I absolutely love about this movie, is just how it's a really good chase movie. And it's just really fun. And like I said, it makes American history come alive. And that's saying something, because that's a difficult task to make people interested in ancient history, you know? And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little over 5.5 minutes while I discuss the 2004 film National Treasure. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to go do something nice for somebody. But most importantly, please don't forget that the world is a hell of a lot more fun because you are in it. And no matter what it is you're going through, just don't give up. Just hold on, because it's going to turn around and you're going to feel alive again. Have a good night.